Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the new Mobile G3 smartphone against the new Mobile G5 smartphone. Now, the newer model is on the right. It's the new Mobile G5, released in October 2020 on the left. We have the new Mobile G3, which was actually released uh, in 2018. And, it had more premium, build quality all around. Actually had a all glass material on the back with all metal edges on the G3. It was released in actually March 2018, but it has a more premium design. It has like glass on the front and back. You actually get a aluminum frame and a glass back as well. Now on the G5, it's a we're getting an actual 6.5-inch display compared to the 5.7 inch on the G3. And the G3 did have a HD plus display, and we are getting the HD plus display on the G5 as well. Now that button right here on the G3 is a lot more premium. It has a textured finish on it, for it differentiates itself from the power button. Also, you get two different buttons on the volume rocker for the G3. They made it a one single button up and down for the G5. So I don't know, I separate buttons feels more premium on the G3. Now let's take it to the camera module. Now we do get portrait mode on the G3. Now we are getting a really good camera on the G3. It's going to be your 13 megapixel with 5 megapixel for depth, and you're going to be able to take portraits on here as well. Now the camera module does have some cool features in it, but the only thing that it doesn't have that the G5 has is the actual night mode as well. So we're actually getting slow motion and time lapse on the G5 as well, which is pretty cool. But you can see that the photo for the portrait is still really good on the G3. I didn't have any issues with that at all. There wasn't any issues with when I was using it. Also, the buttons feel really premium on the G3, a little bit more premium than they do on the G5 because they're metal versus that plastic material. Now, you do get that portrait mode front and rear on the G5. It does look really good on the 16 megapixel rear camera, accompanied with an 8 and another uh, two 2 megapixel cameras as well. One's a macro dedicated, and the other is a um, the depth sensor. So now you can see the detail here is really nice on the G5. We do get that punch hole cutout right at the top corner for the 16 megapixel front camera. On the G3, we do get a 13 megapixel front facing selfie camera. So pretty good camera modules on both displays. You can see you can zoom in and get some really good detail on the G3 as well. It did offer some pretty good light in the photo. They captured some both of them did a really good job here. So I definitely would give a slight advantage to the G5 when it came to overall pictures, just because it has a newer sensor. Now when it comes to the scrolling experience that you're getting on the G3, it's pretty decent. You will notice some stuttering when you're scrolling. However, that won't really impact you if you've never used the phone with 90 hertz or 120 hertz or more. However, it has some really nice viewing angles as well, and the edges of the glass look really nice. It has a 2.5D curved glass on this phone, so it has a really nice premium feel to it. Now, the G5 also does have a nice feel in the hand. It has a nice weight as well. You're getting that quad camera setup arrangement right around back as well. So I definitely think it's cool. You get that AI technology on the G5, which is really good. So you're going to be able to get some really nice, decent scrolling speeds when you're in social media. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. Definitely was a good experience with that A25 processing chip. Now, the big difference here is that we do have Android 10 on the G5 G5, which is actually the latest software for the Android software that NUU provided. And on the G3, we do have Android 8.0 with March 2020 software security update. So I did get a software security update for March 2020 on the new mobile G3. Now you can see we do have this mode called Super HD on the G5, which is actually going to give you extremely nice vivid shots, as well as a wide angle mode as well. You could also get into that macro camera as well on the new mobile G5. So you're going to be able to get some really nice shots when you're using the Super HD mode. Enough detail where you could zoom in and it won't blur out any of the quality of the image. So I definitely think that's a cool feature if you want to blow up some images that you take on this device and maybe hang them up on a wall or something of that sort. It definitely will come out really nice. Now when you're using Twitter on the G3, it's you're gonna notice that it is an older phone compared to the G5 as far as scrolling. The scrolling does feel a bit snappier on the G5. Overall, it was a bigger screen. You're getting that 6.55 inch compared to the 5.7. Now the panels both look absolutely acceptable, and they do look really nice. I mean, these panels are really nice for your 720 plus HD displays. These are going to be really good. Now we are going to be getting some things that they do take away from entry-level devices to make them a little bit more affordable. Now they did decrease the materials on the G5, making them less premium, so we don't get that metal all around the sides with the cold touch like we do on the G3. We don't get the glass material on the back, which is actually going to be more premium to the hand, and those buttons that are metal on the G3, we don't get those. But overall, we do get a bigger display, a more modern cutout camera module on the front and rear. We can actually play games on high graphics like Call of Duty. So they did improve the chipset for gaming, so you won't have any issues with Call of Duty, PUBG, Asphalt 9, anything like that. I honestly didn't run into any frame drops or anything of that nature. I was having a really good time when I was gaming on this phone. No issues whatsoever. We also do get a 5,000 milliamp hour battery to hold us down when we're using the phone throughout the day, and honestly it will last you more than a day. And with that optimized chipset, the A25 is very good when it comes to the battery life. So the Android 10 crammed inside with the 5,000 milliamp hour battery also supported 64 gigabytes of internal storage, 4 gigabytes of memory, which is pretty cool. Now, another thing that's really cool is this does work on Metro by T-Mobile as well as Cricket Wireless. So you can use it on T-Mobile as well, any GSM carrier. Now, it doesn't work on Sprint or Verizon because those do not accept you bring your own unlock your device. So I definitely think this is a pretty cool device for the price. It's giving you some good performance, 1080, 30 frames per second video with the quad camera arrangement that you're getting, 16 megapixel, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth sensor. It's going to give you some really good performance for the price. Now, we do get the digital compass, accelerometer, and proximity sensor. We do get an ambient light sensor as well, but we don't get a barometer or a pedometer. No heart rate on this guy. We do not get the gyro sensor, but we do get a fingerprint and facial recognition. So I definitely think this is a really nice device. Now on the G3, we are getting some really good things packed along here. We do get the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the G5, but it's actually missing on the G3, which is kind of a bummer, but they did actually bring it back with the G5. One of the things I did notice is that the chipset that they're using on the the G3, it's going to be a pretty decent processor. We're getting 282 pixels per inch on this guy. We're also getting the Helio P25 on the G3, which is pretty cool. NFC technology on this guy as well. Now, they don't give you the NFC technology on the G5, so that's something that they actually took away from, you know, the G5 from the G3. So just keep that in mind. We do get micro SD card expansion up to 256 gigabytes as well. We do get 2 SIM card slots on both devices, so you can actually put 2 SIM card slots along with your micro SD as well. Now 4 gigabytes along with your internal storage of 64 as well, so they did match that of the G5. It does seem to carry the lineage of the line pretty well with the G5. I kind of wish they went with those premium, you know, materials, but they did cut costs, save some money, and actually make the device a little bit more, you know, powerful. We do get 5-watt charging on the G5, which makes it kind of charge a little bit slower than normal, so just keep that in mind. But you do get that 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which is going to last you throughout the day. Only $159.99 in the US. We do get that fingerprint front facing camera, which is 16 megapixels. Now there is no Gorilla Glass on the display. I'm not sure what kind of Gorilla Glass it does have, but there's no fast charging either on the G5. Kind of wish it did have that as well, but we do get, you know, all the features that we did have on the G3. It seems like they kind of cut costs a little bit just to save money. Bluetooth 4.2 on the G5 as well, so you know, we do get the headphone jack, which is pretty cool. 4.2 Bluetooth technology on the G3 as well. 3,000 milliamp hour battery, so they actually gave us a better battery life on the G5, which is something that is really important for most people, and something that would be a game changer and you know, make determining whether you would buy a phone now. But the G3 does have the gyroscope that the G5 was missing. They also do have a magnetometer, which is actually pretty cool, but that's not on the G5 either. Accelerometer and proximity sensor on the G3. Button placement is a lot different on these devices. So is the notch style. You get that all screen display with the punch hole on the left on the top of the G5 left hand corner, but on the G3 you only get that like really minimal notchless design, kind of like the older design back in 2017-2018, which was really popular, really innovative at that time. Really beautiful glass on the back of the G3, really nice finish on the G5 as well, which kind of keeps that same, you know, like look and same overall aesthetic. Really nice updated camera module, fast fingerprint sensors on both devices. However, I do think that they did a good job overall with the G5. Definitely worth upgrading to in 2020 if you have the G3 or you're looking at getting the G5 from your older device. Leave a comment down below. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, later crew, and I'll check you guys later. Peace.